Kids and teen boys from the 90s era saw a major evolution in video games, especially when arcade-style beat-em-ups became a popular thing. Now, in 1991, Sega brought something exactly like this, but it was way cooler than its time. The game was developed and published by Sega for the Mega Drive and Genesis consoles. The pixelated graphics gave us a neon-lit city dominated by the boss villain Mr. X. And standing against him, we got our three heroic ex-cops: Axel Stone, Blaze Fielding, and Adam Hunter. Now, for fans like me who literally grew up with the golden era of Sega, this particular game mattered even more than GTA. So, when the very first serious reports of a live-action adaptation came out in 2022, it just blew my mind. But, you know, in Hollywood, projects like this take a long time to reach the finish line. So, after years of getting stuck in development limbo, when this movie is once again back in talks, well, we gotta know everything about it. In today's video, I'm going to dive deep into everything we know so far about the development of this project. So, without further ado, let's get started. The game that built a generation of brawler fans. Streets of Rage first launched for Sega's Mega Drive/Genesis in 1991, with sequels following in 1992 and 1994, before the franchise returned with Streets of Rage 4 in 2020. So before we start talking about the movie, I think it's better to know why Streets of Rage still matters today, even more than 3 decades later. In the early 90s, this simple pixelated beat-em-up used to be a big deal for kids. We were instantly drawn toward these 3 former cops: Axel, Blaze, and Adam Hunter, who left their previous profession to take justice into their own hands and have a final showdown with Mr. X. Such a simple plot, but once you got your hands on the 16-bit console and fought your way through gangs, city streets, bars, and underground hideouts, there was no coming back from this madness. On top of that, Yuzo Koshiro's hardcore electronic soundtrack was the soul of the entire video game, and one of the main reasons why so many fans still remember it. Within just a few years, Sega created a whole fan base and went on to bring 2 more sequels in the 90s. In 1992, we got Streets of Rage 2 with new playable characters, and then in 1994, Streets of Rage 3 brought the final classic era release. After that third one, fans thought the game had finally hit the last chapter of its journey. But surprisingly, in 2020, Streets of Rage 4 arrived with sharper visuals, a modern gameplay style, and a strong respect for the original formula. The coolest part was that Yuzo Koshiro came back for the soundtrack, while newer artists also joined in to give the sound a modern edge. The sequel was also a success critically and commercially, proving that this franchise still had life left in it. This was a franchise that could have been lost and forgotten, but against the odds, it managed to remain relevant for so many years. So, I think it's absolutely worth having a live-action adaptation to honor that effort and that revived youthfulness. Yeah, I'm pretty eager to see the OGs getting back on the streets, but this time with a more cinematic purpose. So, let's cut to the chase and take a quick look at the team building its cinematic world. The guy behind John Wick wanted to make this his passion project. In April 2022, Deadline reported that a Streets of Rage film was in the works with Derek Kolstad writing and with DJ2 Entertainment and Escape Artists producing. So, the first major question is, who actually pushed this live-action idea forward? Did it come from a big production house round table meeting? Not exactly. One of the earliest major names attached was Derek Kolstad, the man who created John Wick and also wrote the 2021 action thriller Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk. What I find most interesting is that Derek reportedly wrote the script as a spec-style passion project, meaning that this wasn't simply a guaranteed studio assignment from day one. But then again, it is Derek Kolstad, and when the creator of John Wick wants to write a stylish action movie based on one of Sega's most beloved brawlers, people are obviously gonna listen. In April 2022, Deadline reported that the script was heading toward a legitimate production setup. Derek was not alone in this. DJ2 Entertainment, the company associated with the Sonic the Hedgehog films, joined the project, and Escape Artists, the production company behind films like The Equalizer, was also on board. So yeah, it started with a dream project from a major action writer, and then quickly became a real Hollywood development package. But as I said earlier, Hollywood itself is a big game changer. Every few months, reports change, creative teams shift, and projects can go silent for years before suddenly coming back to life. Lionsgate picked it up, and everything looked promising. Lionsgate acquired the live-action Streets of Rage movie rights in 2022, with Sega, DJ2 Entertainment, and Escape Artists involved in producing. The next big announcement came in November 2022, when Lionsgate acquired the live-action Streets of Rage movie project. Yep, Lionsgate made sense for this kind of action-heavy adaptation, especially because Derek Kolstad's John Wick connection was already strongly associated with the studio's action identity. Apart from writing the earlier draft, Kolstad was also attached as a producer at the time. The roster included strong industry names, including Sega producer Toru Nakahara, DJ2 Entertainment's Dimitri M. Johnson and Timothy L. Stevenson, and Escape Artist producers Todd Black, Jason Blumenthal, and Tony Shaw. The timing also made sense, because Hollywood was entering a huge video game adaptation wave. The Sonic films had proven that game properties could become successful theatrical franchises. The Last of Us would soon show what prestige television could do with gaming material. So, naturally, studios became more interested in gaming IPs that had strong fan bases and simple cinematic hooks. But there was still one missing piece. The project had producers and a famous action writer, but it still needed a director, a locked creative direction, a cast, and a production start date. This is where things started to slow down. Think The Raid, but make it a video game movie. Derek Kolstad later described his version of Streets of Rage as 16 blocks by way of The Raid, suggesting a fast-moving, relentless action structure. Current 2026 reports say that the project has since moved on to new writers. In a 2026 interview, Derek Kolstad described his version of the project in a very exciting way. He compared it to 16 blocks by way of The Raid. Now, he may have said that casually, but from this statement alone, we get a clear idea of what his live-action version could have looked like. He mentioned two very different but very cool action movies. One is Richard Donner's 2006 thriller 16 Blocks, a race against time story where characters constantly move from one point to another while being hunted. The other is Gareth Evans' 2011 Indonesian action masterpiece The Raid, which is famous for relentless martial arts action and brutal close-quarters combat. So, by mixing these two references, Kolstad seemed to imagine Streets of Rage as a fast-paced action movie, where, once the story kicks in, there's basically no letting up. There'd be a small setup, then pure momentum, street-level fights, constant danger, and probably a lot of battered enemies flying through windows. Honestly, I'd have loved to watch that version on the big screen, but that version didn't fully move forward. In 2026, reports confirm that Kolstad is no longer the active screenwriter on the movie. His earlier draft may still have influenced development, but the current version is being rewritten by Pat Casey and Josh Miller, the writers behind the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. So, yeah, the vision is changing. Whether Kolstad's original foundation survives in the final film is something we can't say yet. Then, quietly, nothing happened. The situation was kinda like having all the ingredients ready, yet no one was taking the initiative to cook the final recipe. They had a strong team of producers, Derek Kolstad's name, Sega's involvement, and Lionsgate backing. But for years, the production didn't seem to move ahead in any visible way. For nearly 4 years, there was no official progress, and that is very common with video game adaptations. These projects can be announced, optioned, rewritten, put into turnaround or delayed because of studio priorities, scheduling, financing, rights, or creative direction. Some fans have pointed toward the failure of Borderlands as one possible reason that studios became more cautious about video game movies. But to be clear, there's no confirmed evidence that Borderlands specifically delayed Streets of Rage. It's safer to say that after several uneven game adaptations, studios are likely more careful about how they package these projects. Even Derek Kolstad moved on to other work, and from the outside, the project looked like it might stay in development limbo forever. That was disappointing for fans, until new information finally arrived in 2026. Actually, hold on, it is still happening. In June 2026, Variety reported that James Samuel is attached to direct the Streets of Rage movie for Lionsgate, with Pat Casey and Josh Miller writing the new script. In 2026, we finally get the biggest update in years. The Street of Rage movie is still alive at Lionsgate, and the project now has a new director and new writers. James Samuel, who directed The Harder They Fall and The Book of Clarence, has joined the team as director. This is an interesting choice because Samuel is known for style, rhythm, music, and bold visual energy, which could actually fit Streets of Rage very well. Lionsgate's Erin Westerman even praised Samuel's visceral and explosive style and his signature use of unforgettable music, calling him a good fit for this beloved video game IP. On the writing side, Lionsgate has hired Pat Casey and Josh Miller, the writers of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, to write the new script. That is also a smart move because they already have experience turning a Sega property into a successful Hollywood franchise. Now, as far as current reports go, Derek Kolstad is no longer the active writer. Some reports say that he wrote an earlier draft. The film has now shifted into a new creative direction. So, it's evident that the vision is changing, and we can't really say whether Derek's earlier foundation is still intact. Nonetheless, this is the strongest sign yet that the movie is really moving forward. But I'd still ask fans to hold back the wildest theories for now. Hollywood development is tricky, and a director and writers don't automatically mean that the movie is shooting tomorrow. We still need a cast, plot details, production schedule, and release date. Hollywood has been doing this to video games forever. If you look back at the history of live-action video game adaptations, you'll find all sorts of disappointing stories behind their production. Hollywood has always struggled with video game IPs, and has often found it difficult to execute them with proper cinematic excellence. By far, one of the most prestigious adaptations of a video game in recent years was HBO's The Last of Us, which kept character drama at the center while letting the world building steal the show. But not all live-action movies or shows excel like The Last of Us. Some ended up terribly, like Borderlands, Assassin's Creed, Hitman, Agent 47, and many more. Now the question is, will Streets of Rage face the same fate as those, or will it stand out as one of the better game adaptations? A lot of that depends on who carries the story forward, how these characters are designed, how much of the game's musical identity survives, and, most importantly, who stars in the movie. As of now, we know that the project has a new director and new writers, but we know nothing official about the cast or the plot. So, Streets of Rage stands somewhere between promise and uncertainty. If it finally breaks free and picks up real momentum, the movie could become as iconic for action fans as the original game was for Sega fans. Right now, the only thing we can do is wait for more development updates so that we can estimate a release window for this project. There's no confirmed release date yet, but at least the movie is no longer completely silent. With James Samuel directing and the Sonic writers handling the screenplay, this is the most movement the project has had in years. On that note, well, this video is over. If you enjoyed the video, well, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Also, let us know about your favorite video game that's yet to become a live-action movie. Until then, goodbye, and see you in the next one.